Hello and welcome. Construction Sport Podcast is back, and we have a doctor in the house. You're technically the smartest man that's ever been on this podcast.
Oh, I don't know about that.
In more ways than mine. You've got your suit on as well. We've got a lot of people blagging it, but no, you've got the letters to you now.
The suits. Have to dress for the day I don't want to have.
Superb. Dr. Luke Hands.
That's me.
Head of Health and Safety at Ardmore. Thank you very much for our little gift.
No problem at all.
I am.
I said I better not come empty-handed.
Yeah, no, we like that. We do like that. Last time I went with a guest, I went to someone's podcast. I took a pack of Haribo, so you've topped my gift. Thanks for coming down.
No problem.
Before we go into all the work you've obviously done, what is unbelievable, really, and a huge testament and thank you for what you've done. Where did the life of Dr. Luke start? Well, who is Luke Hands? Yeah.
I suppose it started in a small little fishing village on the west coast of Ireland.
Yeah, cool.
From Galway, west coast of Ireland.
Yep.
Grew up there. Father, he's retired now, but he was a builder, roofer. So it was always thrown out with him from a very young age. I think there's photographs knocking around. I was only 4 or 5 up on a roof with him. Yeah. So
superb.
Used to work with him all the summers, and I suppose learned very quickly in the winter months when I'm working for my father over the Christmas holidays. Yeah, this is not where I want to be.
On the roofs in Galway, that way as well, but you're battered by them.
Yeah, really were.
Strong roofs.
So when finished school, I said, well, Dad kind of pushed me as well. Make sure you get into university and in the dry and the warm, and get some qualifications behind you. Yeah, loved university. Yeah, loved it. Done 4
Which one did you go?
It was known as GMIT back then. I think it's known as ATU now, Atlantic Technical University. I think it's called now. So done 4 years construction management. Enjoyed that. Cool. Then summers with Dad again. Finished up with that, and it was either start looking for work or maybe do another year. I was enjoying it, playing hurling and drinking, and it was great. So we'll do another year of that. So I went and done a master's in environmental engineering. Cool. And then from that, it was time to go and look for work. Unfortunately, the recession had hit hard in Ireland then.
Yeah.
So
2008.
Back then. So looked to come over here. I think came over to London in 2010, 2011. So moved over, started with J. Murphy & Sons.
Yep.
Came in as a young environmental advisor, working on Crossrail. A couple of jobs like that. And then
where did you pick up the notice that one? Where was the job advertisement for that? Did you go in?
I think it was actually through I'm still hurling. It's an Irish sport. Anyone that doesn't know what hurling is, it's going to be difficult for me to explain. But I'm still hurling. But I actually came over. The hurling club helped me. So they kind of put me in touch with a couple of guys at Murphy's. They sorted me out first month's rent, etc. So it was great and kind of a home away from home. When as soon as you get over, it make you feel looked after.
Construction needs sport, eh?
Absolutely, yeah.
We're not reference anything. We can just see. When you said it about the hurling, I wonder if it's their connection. Into Murphy's there. Did you hurled at a good level, wasn't it?
Somewhat good level. Yeah, so underage with Galway, and then when I moved over here, I was hurling with London, done quite well. When we were in a Christie Ring, and then we went up to, there was no Joe McDonagh Cup then, straight up to Lee McCarthy for a couple of years. So it was quite good with London, and then work was kind of getting busy, so kind of training with London was difficult. And then Warwickshire got hold of me, which would be inter-county still, but kind of a division below. So went up hurling with them. So they're based in Birmingham. I play with them under what they call the grandmother rule, because Dad is from Birmingham, so I can play with them.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So me and the brother went up, and we've been hurling with them since. So
the Brummie.
Brummie.
Superb. So with that, the hurling, is it more university based over in the UK as well?
Over in the UK, no, we've got the club based over here. So it's kind of London have I think 6 or 7 clubs.
There is, it'll be a big circle.
And then we knock the shite out of each other every Sunday then, and it's good fun.
Are they just good as level as what is back home?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it kind of varies from year on year. When I first moved out, because there was such an influx of guys coming over, the standard was unreal. It really, really was. If you didn't go down training, you weren't getting your position at the weekend because there was just another 10 guys coming off on the boat the following week. The standard was really, really good. Recent years now, it's changed a bit. see guys still coming, but they might do only a year or two, and then they'll go to Australia or somewhere else.
Yeah.
But there's still that change in, that turnover of players.
Is there many? I might be swearing here, and I might cause offence. Is there any similarities with lacrosse?
I'm
not trying to compare it to hockey.
Who done a good definition of it before? It's a cross between hockey and murder.
Is it? Yeah. Hockey's savage as well, and I suppose obviously hurling will be. I've got groundworkers back. My back's ruined anyway. I mean, I've never been good with hamstrings either.
Yeah.
But I do like the. Do you ever play Gaelic football?
Yeah, no.
Was that a bit? Yeah.
Done a lot of Gaelic football when I was younger, but then when I came over here, I'd done a little bit here when I moved over, but trying to juggle the two here was a lot different than playing both. Played both all the way underage in Ireland. Yeah. But you had the time, travelling to training was a lot easier because you playing for your local village. Over here, trying to juggle work, trying to get to hurling on a Tuesday night, football on a Wednesday night just wasn't feasible. Couple of guys still do it. A couple of friends of mine now that I heard with, they still play both, and
do they?
Hats off to them. It's a big commitment.
Yeah. I loved watching. I spent a lot of time with some Australian guys 15 years ago working out in Austria, and they introduced me to watching YouTubes. It was a YouTube that had just been starting then, but the Aussie rules meets Gaelic football. And that took in a murder. That wasn't far off either, was it?
Yeah. They had to stop it. So Ireland used to play Australia every year.
Yeah.
It used to be a fantastic event, and it was just an amalgamation of both of the rules.
Yeah.
And it was just really, really good. And I think it got to a point then, I think Ireland sent over a team, and they sent a load of real small but real quick fellas.
Yeah.
And they just wiped Australia off the pitch because they were so quick.
Good catch.
And then the following year, you were kind of thinking, right, will Australia bring back some small match it up? No. They brought back even bigger fellas. And they bet the living shite out of us. Physically, it was just carnage. And then the year after, I think Ireland tried to match that, and then it just turned into an absolute WWE match. It was just to a point where I think they kind of had to step back from it. It was just, it didn't carry the...
There's got to be a place for it again soon. MMA's now back on the scene a bit more, isn't it? So it's a little bit more acceptable to watching people
a little bit,
beat the shot out of each other. No. Oh, superb. So you stepped away from that one, and I suppose it's, again... work-life balance. Is the game, I suppose, rugby's definitely seeing it, where people, I think, are, from local clubs our way, people have life, pressure of work environments now. People can't risk getting hurt as much. So the amateur game suffers, doesn't it, really?
Hugely so. Yeah, hugely so. And I think a lot of sports, like, hurling's the same, Gaelic football, definitely back in Ireland. Even rugby here now, it's developing so quick and so fast. You're nearly playing at a professional level. You're not getting paid. Yeah. So you train. So I've noticed it, since moving back to Ireland, moving the family back to Ireland, I'm flying in and out now. But when I'm training in my club at home, the professionalism is fantastic. Yeah. But then you kind of question, how is it sustainable? You've got guys there training, gym on a Monday, training collectively on a Tuesday, gym on a Wednesday, collectively on a Thursday, video analysis on a Friday. And this is all just part-time for your local village. Yeah. Never mind for anything beyond that. Yeah, it is. You're right. And you see the standard of the sport is just really, really improved over the years as well because of it, which is fantastic. Yeah. But it's just you worry a little bit about for the players, and you see young fellas now, 18, 19, and they're just drifting away from it because it's a huge commitment. It really, really is. Yeah.
We've because the rugby what we put together, we've got 140 construction lads in a WhatsApp group now. Playing rugby all over the UK and Ireland. And we done England versus Ireland last year at Stone X. But a lot of those guys like it, just a one-off game every now and then, just to play as a random one, if we can make it, if we can't. No commitment, no over the sign-on fees, no, be it training twice a week. I actually always thought that with the rugby union it was too much. Just everyone pushes for Tuesday night and Thursday night training. And I was just I could always commit to one, not the other. My time, end of playing as many Saturdays as I could. I remember I stepped away for a bit, and then the December, so 3 months into the season, Steve, can you come back and help us out? We're playing against Colchester, and they were a decent standard. And they're getting a bit of money here and there, players. And our team we were playing for, Southwood, they didn't get paid. And they were very strict. They stuck by that the whole time, and fair play. Yeah. And they were like, we're not getting paid. We're just a local village team. No one's getting paid. The coach gets a little bit of cash, but that's it. And I got called up and played in the centres and hadn't played for a while. And then inside me was Mac Pickey, who was a pilot for EasyJet, hadn't played for a while. And the two of us together stood up, and he's 10 years older than me, and I must have been late 20s at the time. He was late 30s, and we've got two like 18, 19-year-old whippersnappers in front of us who train every week, who have been paid to be at Cambridge, they've been at Colchester, they've been given a job whilst they're there. They're paid to go to the gym and that kind of stuff. And then we held our own for 60 minutes, and then it was just, and we were doing everything we could just to bully them in a way. Just thought all we've got on them is age and a bit of maturity. Maybe we can scare them off the pitch, but we held our own. But then in my head, I was like, you can't do this every week anymore. And then when I had my daughter, actually, then I met the boys here. We all played together at a local club, Malden. And one Sunday morning, I went in. The little girl had just been born, and it always reminded me, Pim, like seen a lion pick up its cub when they go bite the back of its neck and just lift it up. I leant over the scruff of her neck on her pajamas because I couldn't lean over with two arms because my back was killing and everything was hurting. And I remember literally just to one side, picked her up and would just and then put her on my arm and carried her. Yeah. And I was like, in my head, I thought, this is life telling you, Steve, this hurts too much for you. Yeah. You can't do this every week. But I am going to have a little run out after the boys. I'm going to have a little run out before Christmas. I said it last year, didn't I? And I didn't. But I'm good at this year.
I'm conflicted with it because my wife's giving it me in the neck. I'm 37 now. When you consider retiring, but I've got kind of two objectives. One, I'd love that my young fella would remember me playing.
Definitely,
I'd love that. And the second is keeps you young.
Yeah.
You'd be worrying, would there be a kind of a slippery slope down to kind of dropping the up in the weight and dropping the athleticism, and I worry about that. And then finally, I don't want to look back and regret it. The amount of guys you meet in a bar, in a pub, and chatting away to them about sport, and then they say, "Wish I played a bit longer. Wish I played a bit longer." Yeah. And I don't want to. Like, if the body says it's time, I think the body would tell me. But if I'm able to put on the jersey and put on the boots and go out there, I'm just going to keep doing it. Yeah,
because I've got some mates of mine who are very good rugby players and have been over the years who just can't play now because their knees are shot to shit. I was never as good as them. Yeah. But now I think, but I'm still able to go out there and do it. You know,
if you're able, I think you should. But like, see me on a Monday morning in the office going up the stairs and everyone's laughing at me. And it's like, how in the name of God are you going to go training tomorrow evening? Yeah. But the recovery is key, and it takes you long to recover. Of course it does. Yeah.
You're big into your training though. Yeah. It's a big thing. Yeah. I was just sitting on the Instagram the other day, popped up on there, and
hugely so. Kind of. I've always gymming, and my main focus in gymming years and years ago was just to maintain the athleticism for hurling. Yeah. But then I ended up somehow getting on the road for a bit of bodybuilding shows. So it just happened to be the gym I was in. One of the personal trainers got friendly with him, and he was doing one, and he kind of said to me, he goes, you'd be good at it. The hurling season was over. It was kind of no real goals between, then and the end of the year. Yeah. So he put me in touch with his coach. I said, yeah, sure, something to aim for. I'll try it.
Focus. Yeah.
Started into it. I think it was a 12-week kind of cut into a show. I remember being 10 weeks in or 9 weeks in, thinking to myself, I can't do this. Really? This is absolute dire. I'm not enjoying it. Yeah. This is desperate. But I don't give up on anything. So there's 3 weeks left. I'm just going to put the head down and get the 3 weeks done. So kept with the diet, kept with the training, kept with the cardio.
It's so strict, isn't it?
Oh, very. Yeah. Like everything is weighed. Every meal is weighed. All the food is weighed. Yeah. And I just kept with it. And then I remember being backstage, completely dehydrated due to the water manipulation, looking up at the ceiling backstage, about to go on there. It's like, right, that's it, Luke. You've done it. You've ticked the box. You kept with it. You didn't give up. Go out there, do your posing, and then leave this behind you. And I went out and won. So, I went out and came first.
Well, that put a spanner in the works, didn't it?
Yeah, and then came away from that and kind of got a little bit of a bug for it. But it was one thing that was very, very different. So at the start, I really enjoyed the difference between kind of team sports and the individual sports, because it's all on you. Yeah. You weren't relying on, the cornerback who may have had 5 pints last night and has let you down. It's all on you. It's just you.
No hiding.
There's no hiding, absolutely. And I enjoyed that aspect of it. Really, really did. And I enjoyed getting into shape, but it takes its toll mentally. Really, really
because you have to give up a lot of family commitments and everything. One of might be full family commitments, just parties.
But even your own mental aspect, exactly. Yeah. You won't like I was doing it before I met my wife, and she'll even tell you when she first met me, her friends were like, oh, I've seen, you know, a couple of pictures of that guy. He must be all, you know, up himself.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, it's actually quite the opposite. Like, this guy looks in the mirror and all he sees is his flaws.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly trying to improve. You're comparing yourself to other bodybuilders who you need to beat to get that kind of a UK title or a European title.
Yeah.
And you just see the negatives. And you see these guys on Instagram, because I've lived it, I know what they're going through. Like, they put a picture up and they might come across as confident, but I know they're not.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. I'd done a show, All Britain show. I came third in Britain. And then I went on holiday with the wife and my parents out to Turkey. And I was there for a week and I'd done nothing but eat. Like, nothing but every bit of chocolate.
I'm up for that bit.
Because I've been dieting for 3 months, done nothing but eat. And then it was like the last day and Mum was like, oh, get a photograph here, just me and you, take off your shirt there. Because we're on the beach. I was like, oh, I'm not taking off your shirt. I'm fat. And my Mum was like, no, you're not. She's like, what are you talking about? And in my mind, I was, you know,
really,
I was not right. Took the photograph anyway. And if I showed you the photograph now, I was lean as anything, but in my head, because I'd eaten so much mentally, I was like, "This is affecting me."
Yeah.
So it's very, very strange, and and then I use the comparison: if someone who doesn't really exercise or gym, and then they start going to the gym and they get on a bit of a program, and then in about 6 weeks they can look in the mirror and say, "I'm in the best shape of my life."
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can only do that unless I do another show.
Yeah.
So it kind of frustrates me at times to meet like a new person in the gym in the mornings that say, you're in good shape. And my response is, oh, well, I'm not. I can actually be in better shape. It's very, very odd. And it's a battle. You know, it really is a battle. Then just kind of juggling that.
Would you do it again?
When did I do one? I done one after Niall was born. Yeah, I done one because I kind of got an itch for it. It was about 3 years until I'd done one, and then I reached out to my coach and he said, "Look, you haven't stripped down in a while. Let's get diet in and let's see what's there." And then he goes, "I don't think you'd be ready for a show." And then as we developed, he said, "You know what? Let's jump on stage and see how we get on." And came second. So that was after about a 3-year break. So I was happy enough with that. So, but since then, no, I've kind of put a pin in it for now. But
it would be interesting. It would be good entertainment watching me do it, wouldn't it? To get me into it, just to see.
I think entertainment is the right word.
Medalist. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I've got a few scars down my stomach. I always think if there's a 6-pack in there, it'd be a very different stacked 6-pack now. Like, just be kind of all twisted and all sides. There's a few butchers go in there. So you was at Murphy's. And then,
so I was at Murphy's because of 10 years. Loved it. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Met some good friends there.
Was you anything to do with AMK Deepums?
No, it wasn't that side of things. It was more started on all the tunnels, working in all the tunnels. Started with environmental. They were they had no one for quality at the time, so they put me through quality chartership. Which was great. And then after a while, they kind of went through a restructure where they were rather than having individual environmental advisors, quality advisors, and health and safety advisors, they just wanted the all-rounded HSQE professionals, so they put me through my NEBOSH. And then that's when
tough.
It was tough. It is,
for amount of you're very well educated and academic.
Yeah, it was tough course, absolutely. Tough exam.
Yeah.
But from there on, everything changed. Because I had a passion for the environment side of things. Enjoyed the quality to an extent. But as soon as you added health and safety into the mix, that had to take precedence.
Yeah.
And I found that a bit odd. So, and I was quite against it at the time of turning all of the advisors in the business to the HSQE advisor because, you've got people there that have come in with like masters in environmental engineering who are passionate about environmental engineering, but you give them an NEBOSH, well, then they're going to have to put health and safety first because, it's great to be looking at ESG and looking at reducing carbon.
Is the Q falling away from it now in the job title?
To an extent, I kind of I had a lot of to-ing and throwing when I came into Ardmore because it was a health and safety function and we turned it into the HSQE function and the best way I describe it is from my perspective, the Q in my job role is quality assurance in the line of documentation and ISO certification. So for me, it's to ensure that the correct inspection and test plan is in place. That all the jobs are using it, it's on the correct template, it's on the approved company template. As for what goes in it, that's onto an engineer. And that engineer then, so you're looking at the quality from a quality build perspective. And then you're looking at, defects, you're looking at NCRs, raising those correctly. So I think there's two sides of quality now. There's quality build, quality engineering, and then there's quality assurance in the line of quality documentation. So,
and that's what really protects the company ultimately, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's what people. It's not a case of going around and telling people about their PPE. There's a whole thing. Like, there's the spine to hold the company up, isn't
a
it?
lot of people don't understand that, and they think HSQE function is just going out and telling guys to put the glasses and gloves on and make sure they got the vests on. But
I've kind of learned it along the way. I put it the hard way. Not too hard, but where I was acting as kind of senior supervisor / COS controller site safety on the rail, overseeing some of the cross rail stuff on the Anglia side. We learned then, like, if there was something within our task brief, what was wrong, no matter, like, you just had to nip it in the bud there and then. Don't think, that won't come into play today. Because, as soon as something, it did happen a few times, you saw people, not so much ours, but other people got caught out. Something would go wrong, and it would just literally, it would just open up the can of worms, isn't it? This something go wrong, and that's it. You've got everything on the table now, show us everything. And you go, I knew that was wrong, but I didn't think it was coming to play. Well, why didn't you raise it? And
absolutely.
Yeah, the importance of nipping everything in the bud before you go to work. And you've seen it, and we obviously know it from when things go wrong in construction, just how wrong they can go, isn't it, really?
Well, the best way I explain it to a lot of our workforce is it's not about, of course, it's about preventing an incident. And a lot of our procedures and processes in order to do that. But it's about mitigating, God forbid, if something goes wrong. And the good example I give is you have to do a temporary works check every week on any bit of temporary works within the site. And your credibility, whoever's filling out that form, lies on that form. So if this guy's going out every Monday and he's just ticking the box, tick, 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 he's not even identifying even something, a hoarding check, not even a little bit of graffiti or a bit of plywood that needs rectifying. And God forbid, in 10 weeks' time or 12 weeks' time, and there's a catastrophic failure in temporary works. All this paperwork's now going to come in to play to show that you're doing your due diligence, you're out there doing the checks, and we're doing what we're saying we're going to do. And regardless of the incident, we're still mitigating, God forbid, any claim or any prosecution that might follow. But if you look at if the HSE comes in and they start looking at the documentation and you've just got tick, 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 whoever's filling out the form, there's no credibility there. He's never going to survive on a stand because any solicitor worth of salt would absolutely make bits of them. Because he'll just say, well, you haven't done a fantastic job of these checks, have you? And name them. And as soon as they start digging and asking the questions, they say, well, you haven't raised any issue in 10 weeks. All you've done is completed the form and not very well. And it just kind of reminding these guys, and we looked at a big piece in the last number of years around culture. You can have the best procedures in place, the best processes, but you're still relying on an individual, a human, and human error to complete the form correctly. So it's just kind of reminding these guys, that these forms aren't just to tick the box. They're not there just to appease a business or tick a regulation requirement. It's there to protect them, and it's there to protect the business, and it's there to prevent accidents.
And this is, I suppose, they say you're just ticking a box, but when it goes wrong, it's not the company that gets told off. It's you'll be in the dock.
Absolutely,
isn't it?
Absolutely.
For manslaughter.
And it's changing a lot lately. I've seen, it's years ago they were just going straight for the principal contractor, but now they're holding individuals to account. And you're seeing that change. And I think that's good for the industry. I think it is.
Sharpens everybody up.
It sharpens everyone up. And then you've got, managers and PMs and engineers, the ones that are worth the salt and understand that. They're asking more questions around the procedures. They're trying to improve the procedures to protect them and ultimately protect the business, which is good. And that's what it's about.
Because there was a campaign, wasn't it, about Don't Walk By years ago. I haven't seen much of that anymore. But no, that was the whole point of just getting everyone, no matter what it is, raise it. Because if you do walk by it and it happens, then you are ultimately responsible for negligence in some degree. And you can only, the likes of, you look at that and then also the Grenfell stuff, and it's a whole new ball game. But how many times people go, no, there's a problem here. Someone listen. So it needs to be raised.
We've gone through a massive transformation on culture of reporting incidents. We've increased our incident reporting 1,000% in the last 3 years in Ardmore. And the main focus of that was identifying the low-level stuff. And it links back into Bird's Triangle. If you're raising the low-level stuff, it's going to prevent the high-level stuff, the fatality. And the best way I landed that with our managers is look at worst-case scenario. If we have, God forbid, a fatality, and the HSE come in here and you had to prove your competence and prove that you're doing your due diligence, what's the best way to do that? To open up your laptop and say, well, I've raised 100 low-level incidents, low-level hazards that are picked up by walking the job on a daily basis. But if you're not recording that, now they could be out there doing it, but if not recording that, there's no way of being able to justify they're doing their job correctly. And then they can be held liable. So it's just to remind them of that.
And going on that, I suppose it segues on to you saying about the stuff being reported on. And this, I know we met a few weeks back, courtesy of Tiernan and Karl, both of them really. They're both kind of pushing us in the same direction, bringing us together. And that's where it comes on with the words you said to me about how the lack of data there is in the mental health space with Wilter on. But we'll come to that because we have 395 pages to start with. And you've got your summary bit there. I think I've got my summary up bit. So tell us what it was you done then, Luke. And Dr. Luke, we'll say. Dr. Luke Hands.
For me, coming into the safety side of things, a good few years ago, we're fantastic at reacting to physical data, physical safety data. There's a reason why we wear hard hats in the industry. Because our fathers and our grandfathers were bashing their heads. They were coming home with cuts above the brow. And we reacted to that data, and then we introduced hard hats. That's the control. Similar with gloves. You remember back into the late 90s, early 2000s, no one wore gloves. And then the accident books were getting filled with guys cutting fingers, damage to the hands, etc. So what was the response? Look at the data, let's respond to the data and introduce gloves. And we've been always fantastic about that around physical safety. But we've been far, far slower responding to mental well-being data. And the main reason is because it's complex. It's a hell of a lot easier to point the finger at PPE issues, etc., and the low hanging fruit from physical safety. It's a lot more complex when it comes to mental well-being. What's frustrated me over times, and you've seen it on LinkedIn, and hats off to everyone on in the industry that are trying to they're aware of the issue and they're trying to combat the issue and they're coming up with ideas to try and combat it in some way. But I'm kind of the only person to put their head above the parapet and say, well, where's the data to show that your initiative is going to work? Because we've no baseline. So you can, implement an initiative, but in 2 years' time, you can be in the exact same position. You've no way to prove that you've made improvements, or maybe it's even got worse. So we need to respond in the same way that we've done in physical safety. And that's what I looked at. I said, first of all, we need a baseline. I wanted to look to see if there was tools that already exist in other industries that we can adopt. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's plenty of other male-dominant sectors within in other sectors.
Society.
So first thing I looked at was trying to do some sort of test across a workforce. So I looked at 450 operatives across multiple organisations, and what tool we used was called the DAS-21 scale. So it stands for Depression, Anxiety, Stress Scale. And what it told us that the DAS-21 scale is a clinically proved method, and it works. So the majority of people fell in the normal category, and that shows the reliability of the tool. It wasn't exaggerating the issue whatsoever. However, what jumped out was there was still a considerable number of people falling in mild, moderate, and even extremely severe. And these weren't people at home. These weren't people, off sick. These were people still turning up to work, managing teams, operating plants. That's the worrying thing about it. So these guys are still at work, carrying these invisible burdens. And now we're able to measure it. Now, what was fascinating with the DAS-21 scale was it directly corresponds and directly responds to change. So when you look at the main identified contributors to poor mental health, your time pressures, you're working away from home, all these factors, if you make changes around them, the DAS-21 scale reacted. So when stress levels are high because of time pressures, the score spiked. But then when we made change, when we reduced the time pressures, when we implemented better welfare, when we made leadership change, the scores dropped. So that shows that what we all know, that environmental conditions matter. And if we can make improvements around that, we're going to see improvements in the scores, and ultimately we're going to see an improvment in
so that DAS scale is a good way of, even for the industry, to get behind, right, to measure.
Absolutely.
I said it years back, and I have said it, and I've been very critical. I understand it plays a part in the industry, the mental health first aid stuff, but it's not the only thing. But I said this a few years back, I was like, okay, we invested X amount of money into that a few years back. Show us the results. And there isn't anything. It's not been measured. It's not been measured at all. So the stuff that's out there, like myself, are quite critical of it. But I'm like, well, prove otherwise. And everyone's like, well, we can't because, like you say, it's surely the basic version of if you're going to go and do something, measure it. Isn't it?
Absolutely.
So you've obviously seen that across the industry, that nothing was being measured.
Well, they were measuring it to an extent from high level with the HSE. So between 2011 and 2015, there was 1,400, operatives killed through suicide. And when you look at that from a physical safety perspective, 1,400 people died in that time frame due to work-related accidents. They would have shut the industry down.
Yeah.
The government would have stepped in and said, "What the hell are you doing, guys?
Yeah.
The industry needs to stop, needs to close until you can show us that it's now safe again to proceed."
Right.
But because it's suicide, it falls silent, which screams volumes.
Yeah.
It needs a collective effort.
Yeah. And investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we talk about data, we talk about research. There's data there now.
Yeah.
I've spent 5 years obtaining the data.
This is a baseline now.
There's a baseline there. I can now suggest a tool to use across the industry, across individual businesses.
Yeah.
Now it's a clinically proven tool, but again, it's not there to replace, your GP or etc. It's there to assess yourself.
Yep.
For people that may feel that my stress levels may be too high, like we forget, the best people to identify stress or anxiety or depression is yourself.
Yeah.
But because stress is part of life, we've kind of, at times it kind of snowballs and we feel, oh, maybe this is just normal. Stress can be a good thing. You look at athletes use stress, they push their bodies to the limit, they come back more resilient. So we're used to having stress in our lives, but it's about identifying in ourselves, well, hang on, maybe this stress level has gone beyond to a point where it's having a negative effect on my body.
Yeah.
The DAS-21 scale assists with that, because you do your self-assessment. If it spits out a figure that's high, well, then you need to go and approach your GP or look for external help.
Yep. You say that as well, the stress, because we say if you open yourself to long periods of time under stress, that's when, and what we see as well, we have seen it, because know a lot of the guys there, but people are passing away of brain tumours and cancers, and there's the risk of that, isn't there, from just overexposure to stress, what it does to the body. And that's another thing, I think, going down this path of health in general, physical and mentally, is let's look at I could list off 10, 15 decent young guys, and it is men who are died now, all between the ages of 26 to 46, say. And these are people, young families, and quick, sudden, we're talking brain tumours that have taken them within 3 months, dropping down dead from heart attacks, cancers that have lasted less than a year. And these are good, healthy, professional, like Martin Guest, a good friend of ours, he passed away of leukemia. He's one of those annoying people that everything he does he's good at. He was a semi-professional goalkeeper. Yeah. He played golf and was unbelievable. Just an all-round sportsman, basically. And he gets hit by cancer, and it takes him within a year. And you just think, but I'm just speaking to him over the years, he was under high pressures. He had an M&E company. He was under a lot of pressure. Aaron Ring, another guy I know, he passed over brain tumour on Crossrail. I think that's 3 to 4 months. Quote me for the actual time frame. I know it's very short. It was a pressurised job. Yeah, there is a link, isn't there? There's something there.
And the funny you say there is a link, but then there's no one that's going to go away and do that investigation.
No,
if someone has a fatality on site due to a fall from height, there's a huge investigation. It's carried out internally. It's carried out with the HSE to kind of establish the root cause and what contributing factors to this person dying on the site. But we don't do any of that in suicide or ill health following working in the industry over the years.
So I can push you and push you and push you to do your job and beast you over your shoulder. You trip over and bang your head. Yeah, I'll get investigated. I can push you and push you and push you and push you under so much stress that you have a heart attack.
Absolutely.
And don't get looked at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I know it goes back to the HSC and the way the HSC are ultimately governed as well, doesn't it? Otherwise, it's the HSC's fault, but there's no one pushing above that to get the funding.
The HSC are coming out with some amazing data as well. They're showing that I think 17 million working days lost every year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Through stress, anxiety, and depression. Nearly 49%, nearly half of all workplace absenteeism, when we're talking sick leave, is down to stress and anxiety and depression.
Yeah,
nearly half. So if you've got a workforce there and there's someone sick tomorrow and there's someone sick the next day, they might be feeding back to say, "Oh, I've got the flu, or I've got COVID, or God knows what." But 50% of the time, they're actually suffering mental well-being issues. Yeah. But they're just not declaring that to their employer because they're afraid to.
And the one that someone pointed out to me as well, is construction in the macho world, how much of it is actually going down to presenteeism as well? How many people, like say, how many people on that job stressed to pieces and ill? It was very much a block paved in the little groundworks years back and I remember it was like, you're only ill when you're physically throwing up block paving.
Yeah.
It was like, that's how you get the day off. So
Yeah,
you don't,
exactly.
and if, no matter how unwell you are, just get to work, show how unwell you are, then go home. And it's absolutely savage.
Oh,
isn't
it is savage. Yeah, I remember a fella said to me before, did your dad ever take a day off because he was sad? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, they're trying to say, oh, because men were different back then. But at the end of the day, you just had to go to work. But and we're not trying to say that we stay at home because we're sad, but we need to be putting some mechanism in place where we're identifying that someone's taking the day off because the head isn't right. And then how are we going to rectify that? Yeah. Rather than just let them, sit at home having a couple of days rest and coming back in and then back into the thick of it again. Yeah. There's no improvement being made there.
Yeah. I used to have it. I had ulcerative colitis in my stomach, lost that over a period of time, over stress, I'm a firm believer in. But then I had concrete burn on my hand years ago, and then that used to massively crack up when I was stressed, and my hand would really crack. And it's like a flare up. When ulcerative colitis, your stomach would flare up under stress. Once I had that all removed, done a few years, I had a bag attached to me for a couple of years, all that jazz. I haven't had lunch yet. I won't go into too much detail on that bit. But that was all stress related. Yeah. But then I know from my hand, then later on, I had these signs in my body where what flared up in different ways, and it would be my hands would crack, and I'm talking hurt a lot as well. It would. It was a concrete burn, but that was obviously a weak spot. Yeah, and it would crack up. But I remember putting under really hot water. Like I couldn't touch that water with my left hand, but I'd do it in my right, and it would feel good. And it was the closest thing I could get to, like, this is going off a bit of a tangent, but self-harming in a way. I was like, oh, that feels so nice. Yeah. I recognised, understood how people can, why your brain works in a way. But then now years later, my wife will go, you're stressed, and she knows because one of my eyes starts going a bit weird. Right. My left eye can go, I'll get a little dry patch on my eyelash, and my left eye will flare up a little bit. And just it's my body going, chill out a bit with you. It normally happens, like you say, when you've got a few days off to chill out anyway, and your body goes, unwinds.
I find that.
Christmas,
annoyingly.
I find
that. I find it. No, because I obviously a gym a lot, exercise every morning, but as soon as I take a break, that's when I get sick. The body's like, oh, it's finally getting a rest here. Let's going to hit this
all out
with something. Yeah.
And I was recently having this bit lower backache. I think is my latest one. The back starts aching, and I'll go for a run, have a good kind of training session, and I'm back in the game again. And my little wife's saying, it's not. It's definitely not because I'm picking up too many blocks anymore. I'm avoiding that as much as I can. But back to my research. My research showed, that sport, it's the most natural, stigma-free way to de-stress. And all the research shows that. And then you're not being paid by us as we say this.
Absolutely not.
But we are thanking you very much for backing up everything we're trying to say over the years.
Yeah, but like if you put lads, women on a pitch, they laugh, they joke, they compete, and before you know it, the walls come down and real conversations start. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, you don't need to pull someone in a meeting room and ask them how they're feeling. They'll tell you on the way home in the car, or if you go into the pub. And that's the magic of sport. That's the magic of any physical activity. And it's just reminding our workforce of that. So I had this conversation last week, Suicide Awareness Day. First thing I said to remind these guys, best person to identify stress in your body is yourself. And remember that at times you need to look in the mirror and say, am I overstressed? And the DAS 21 can help with that. Additionally, then I said, who's the second best person? And the response from the room was, my wife, my husband. But it's actually not. It's usually the person beside them. You got to work, these guys got to work all day, 10 hours on site, standing next to a colleague, a guy they work with. They're most likely going to identify, something's a bit untoward in this guy. He's not feeling right. More so than his wife. The wife might spot it on the Saturday or the Sunday. But by the time I get home this evening, 7, 8 o'clock, put on Netflix for 45 minutes, fall asleep. That's all my wife's going to see of me.
Yeah, for sure. And you'll know it as well from your working career, because I know I've worked very aligned with what I've been doing over the years, but on the groundwork side is the 2 or 3 man gangs. They know each other, like you say, more than their wives do. They know each other inside out, and they've got each other's backs, don't they? And there's a lot of respect.
And I think that's changing there. At time, it was like if Johnny was feeling a bit blue, they wouldn't even speak up and ask the question. And that was the message I was trying to get across last Wednesday. Was like, if the guy beside you doesn't seem himself the last couple of days, ask the question. Yeah. How are you?
And that as well, saying it was just come to my head, and that's it before, but we used to work in different companies where resource was different. They would always change the gangs around and all that. And it used to be so frustrating because you'd been a decent gang. Yeah. But the importance of keeping that gang together, and it just for each other's, for the mental stability, isn't it, really? Yeah, because you got each other's back. And when you knew people would tell you, just the relationship isn't as strong as what the other one was, and
Yeah.
yeah, then that used to be frustrating because you get a good gang of you're absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
You can deliver your job. I missed, and it is, and I said this to the boys actually over the years, the best thing, what I've learned from stepping away that I miss most, and what I love doing now when it does come to it, is being in the van together, having a laugh in the van. Just it goes down in the van. From the moment you used to pick people up, would literally fall out of bed, and you knew he'd been out or something, but you get him in and you get him to work, and the struggle is the entertainment of watching that person struggle through breakfast. And don't get me wrong, it was everyone swapped around in that role, but then to the having a bit of road rage with someone and the abuse that flies around, or just general pranks going on there. The camaraderie that forms within that box is they become family, and you know them better than anyone. And then that's as I said, that was the message I was trying to get last week. If they don't feel right, ask the question. And there's this perception that speaking about mental health or speaking about suicide in particular is, might plant the seed or push them over the edge. But the evidence shows that's quite the opposite. It's a proven way to prevent, suicide and raise suicide awareness. Yeah, it's a proven way because it gives the opportunity for the person to speak up, speak out, and each conversation can save a life. Yeah, for sure. And like you say, just by checking in on someone. Brighton Football Club, you've seen that advert just come out. That's powerful, isn't it? Yeah, just getting at the end, just going, something's not right. Yeah.
Ask the question.
Yeah, simple as. And we always say, and the Ricky Hatton thing kind of backs up again. It's like, the signs just aren't there a lot of the time once it happens, doesn't it? Yeah. And there's Gary Speed and Robin Williams. So the pressure of saying to people, spot the signs, is tough. Yeah. But like you say, just don't be afraid to ask. I caveat that with my message last week that ask the question, are you okay? But if someone asks you, are you okay? And you're not feeling okay, use the opportunity to speak up. Be honest. Don't just respond and say, I'm fine. Yeah. If you're not feeling fine, you need to be aware what support is out there. Yep. Because there's an abundance of it. But at times we just need to make sure that we're promoting it, that people are aware of it. That's where the stigma comes. But I think the best course of action here is creating an environment where we can speak to one another and support one another. Yeah. Of course, you still need the GPs, you still need the charities, you still need the professionals that you reach out to, EAPs, etc. Yep. But I think if we create an environment where we can support one another firstly, that's the objective. That's where we need to get to. Yeah, and the construction needs, like you say, it's not just within the people you research, was it? This is across sector. But it's not just my research. The research across the industry, backs it up. CIOB done, a lot of extensive research. Bullying and poor workplace culture leads to stress and anxiety. A 2019 survey then confirmed that poor welfare exacerbates the issue. And the amount of that we're hearing still now. Just state of toilets and the poor welfare in 2025 on these jobs. It come up the extreme side again with John Houlihan talking about Grenfell actually, and he said that the way that those guys weren't even allowed to use the emergency services canteen, they had to go to the CAF themselves and little things like that. It's like, just why not? But they would work to the standards with what do we as a company have to issue these people on site, and it'd be like hot water table. Just trying to meet the minimum standards. Meet the minimum standards. Why aren't we pushing to go above and beyond? Well, that's what I'm saying. That my research showed that for the sites that we surveyed, when we made that change, the improved welfare, the improved facilities, the scores improved. Yeah. So it shows that it responds to the environmental conditions improving. Yeah. I still push it and preach it. In the canteens, you just have Only Fools and Horses on repeat, literally, or anything of that kind of nostalgic for the majority of us who are kind of around us. What was we watch as kids, or what can we watch what's on TV? A lot of it probably been cancelled nowadays, but not allowed on there. In between us or something like that. But the funny stuff, or just a film that is funny. Just stick Happy Gilmore on, or something where people come in and it's just takes their mind away from the job for half hour whilst they're having the break. I totally agree, but then the biggest difficulty there is the management of sites. Explain to them why this guy's in there watching Happy Gilmore. They're not going to be too pleased in that. No. But you have to remember, these guys need to de-stress, these guys need a break. Absolutely, if there's a guy gone in there for 3 hours watching two films, absolutely reprimand him for it. Put the Aussie rules on versus the Gaelic for the highlights. If there's a guy gone in there for half an hour and he's just watching something on the telly and he's de-stressing a bit, that's the objective we want to get to. Yeah, just shut off away from life. And we've had it. I don't talk for Ardmore sites, I don't myself, but when people start putting all the stats and figures of how many hours and people have gone uninjured and all that across the jobs, and it's in the canteens in front of it while they're eating their breakfast. Get it out of their face.
And it gets to the wallpaper effect. The more you put up, the less you see.
Exactly that.
It really is. And we were chatting earlier before we came on about AI, etc. But I think that personable approach of standing up in front of people and speaking. Reminding them that we're not hiding behind emails, we're not hiding behind text messages or posters. Stand up, have a 10-minute conversation, and just remind these guys of the support that's there.
Yeah, 100%. Show a bit of human touch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, so the stress anxiety scores spike under pressure. They get long hours, job uncertainty, and working away from home. Just looking at some of your research there. Bullying, why sport helps. We touched on that. The key number statistics: 14 under construction workers lost suicide. That's the thing, the numbers. So that report, that was one of the first reports. Say 2011 to 2015 as well.
That was
no one was talking about any of this then, either, were they? Because I remember I started delving into this subject in 2016 when I was on Crossrail.
Yeah.
And even then, Mates in Mind, I think, would just be informed. Lighthouse wasn't touching the mental health side of it. It's more just the injured workers kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, over the period of time, it's come to the forefront. But are we going to be doing this like 2011 to 2015? That report, will that be getting done again? Who's even going to run it, isn't it? I think that's the thing in construction. Who's leading?
Yeah, but I think I was saying to you before, even a lot of the statistics come from the Office of National Statistics.
Oh, yes,
And then a lot of those, figures can be skewed.
Yeah. We mentioned that before.
I mentioned that before. For example, going back a number of years ago, God forbid, if I commit suicide in the industry, I wouldn't have gone down as a construction-related fatality because I'm not a plumber, I'm not a carpenter. I'd go down as a manager or a white-collar worker that wouldn't be associated with the industry.
Yeah.
On the way the Office of National Statistics data was being compiled. Now that's changed. No, that really, really has changed. I mean, the majority of suicides in the industry now all fit within that white-collar, high-pressured kind of environment. So thankfully, it has. But other, other aspects of the data, you have to question. I was informed through my research that if someone doesn't leave a note, they don't go down as a suicide; they go down as a misdemeanor or a misadventure.
Yeah.
Which is worrying. And you think of, particularly in the male industry, how many guys leave a note? They just go ahead and do it.
Even when you look at the biggest killer aside from suicide, it's falls from height. Isn't it? How many of them maybe might have been suicides? Really, isn't it?
I've used that example before with road accidents. You see these road accidents that's just on a straight stretch of road, no other vehicle involved, middle of the night, and who's going to challenge the family who are grieving and say could it have been suicide? They'd rather say no, it was an accident. It's easier to handle, easier to take.
Yeah.
But these numbers could be a lot, although they're severe, they could be a lot worse than we actually think.
And again, looking at fatigue management through the work situation, I don't think construction does. I know for sure Network Railway terminology doesn't. They count the door-to-door policy in terms of working hours, but they don't take into account people who die on the road on their way home from work. That doesn't go down as a figure towards it, isn't it? No. But you're like, hang on a sec, you can't move the goalposts to walk out in suits. Yeah. So, and we know there's guys close to myself. I got invited on a podcast a few years ago with a gentleman who was doing it local to us, and a year later, the guy he worked with, I said, I can't remember his name now. It's disrespectful, but for the sake of me, can't think of his name. But I said, is he still doing the podcast? And they said, no, Steve, the guy died the other week on the road. That was him. He was on his way home from a night shift. Hit a roundabout at the end of the main road, just come to a junction and just straight over it for the sleep. It's the fault fatigue management side of it, but then that doesn't get count towards a.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's it to keep it saying as well, how the mental health side of it and suicide in the workplace, or that none of this gets taken in. So my theory with all this, 1,400 workers, suicide 2011 to 2015, all the way up till today, none have been investigated.
No.
Because it
happens outside the site.
Yeah, because it happens and it's deemed as a person. And we've got a few that we know of, 20 minutes up the road from here, multiple ones in London, suicides have happened on the job, and they still get put down as a personal issue and they won't get investigated.
That's crazy.
I spoke to the senior guy in the HSE recently when we delved into a little bit with the Leadership Council, and I said to the guy at the HSE, how many have you investigated of these over the years? And he couldn't give us a figure.
But it's difficult. It's the complexities of it.
Yeah.
It's going to take years. And what are you going to get out of it? And that's probably what the HSE, and that's probably how they're looking at it. And not saying that we shouldn't.
Yeah.
But if you're going to knock on the door of families, that's where you're going to get most of your evidence. That's going to be difficult. But you should be looking at asking questions around colleagues. Management.
Exactly that. We're in the workplace, isn't it? Because anyone knows you can walk into any job, can't you?
Yeah.
And you know if it's a good place to work or not quite quickly, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I can only imagine some of these families would want to have answers, wouldn't they?
Absolutely.
To a certain degree. And I get it fully that there'll be some who just can't face talking about it or bear it, but they think, I like to think I'd be like, do everything you can for the answers.
But going back to, as I said, around the lack of data and the baseline, I won't mention the organisation, but an organisation I was with years ago, there was 3 guys for the time I was there that committed suicide.
Yeah.
And when I approached human resources and asked them, well, how do we record that? It just went down as a lever.
Wow. Yeah.
So recorded as a lever. So if you and I reached out to all the tier 1 companies across the industry in the morning and said, could you let us know how many people committed suicide in your business last year? If they're all putting them down as levers, you've no data at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely none. Which is frightening in a way.
It is. And
but if you asked how many people died on a site, they'd be able to tell you.
Bang,
that
yeah.
has to be recorded, and there's a push to record that.
Yeah.
You have to submit a RIDA, you have to submit a fatality, you have to submit to the HSQE. Maybe something needs to follow similarly with a suicide.
Yeah.
Commit suicide without slapping someone on the wrist.
Yeah.
On the wrist. You don't want to be you don't want to be making it as a
definitely
as a negative thing. But I think if we had to report it more regularly, I think it put a little bit more emphasis on.
We'll give you that data, wouldn't it? That add to the baseline. Because I know at the same time as well, if someone's a bricklayer, then they get sacked and they don't have a job for 4 weeks, they'll just get put down as unemployed as well, wouldn't they? Yeah.
I found that a big challenge with the research was the self-employed guys.
Yeah.
I even, going back to last week for Suicide Awareness Day, when I'm bringing people in front of me, if they're employed for Ardmore, or if they're employed directly as a PAYE person, they're happy to sit in front of you for half an hour and listen about mental well-being, and they contribute. But if they're just self-employed on a day rate, they're like, I don't want to sit in front of you. I get paid to work.
Yeah.
And their mental health could be an issue.
Yep.
But they don't want to listen to me. They don't want to listen to anyone. They want to get there, get work, put the money in the pocket.
Yep.
But the research shows, it's that pressure that's causing issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you say, they're just being blokes and shutting it off, aren't they? Just let me crack on. Yeah. Especially, God forbid, if they're on a price as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Price work.
There's your
Get
pressure.
out of the way.
There is your pressure.
Yeah. He sees it, and it's just absolute boom. So what's kind of next with your work that you've done? So you've gone through it all now, and you've got your doctorate with it. So you're, as we said before, academically the most qualified man on this subject.
Yeah, unfortunately,
in the industry.
It scares the absolute hell out of me. But
and I know there's not many more. I don't think there's any who've done it to this level.
No, I don't think there's many. I've been informed that myself through my academic advisors, etc. For me, I've only just tied up done my Viva there the start of the spring. Been doing a couple of amendments in the thesis there just to get it over the line. For me, it's disseminating the results. I suppose this is a good opportunity to start getting the message out to the industry of what the data shows, what the research shows.
Yeah.
And we have the data now. We've been screaming for data for a long time. This research shows we now have that data, and we need to respond to that.
Yeah.
So we have the data, we just need the will.
Yep.
We need to use the data to our advantage. Personally, I don't think we need to start, scraping for data all the time. We've got, suggestions here of clinically proven tools that work.
Yeah.
As I said, it shows the reliability of the tool itself.
Yeah.
It's clinically proven. I'm looking at ways of possibly utilising it as an onboarding process.
Yep.
So the -21 scale takes, minutes to complete. I'm looking at building it into our new, Ardmore looking to build it into the new onboarding process. Now, we need to be careful what we're doing with that data. Mm-hmm. If you were onboarded on an Ardmore job in the morning and you do your induction and you do your -21, if you scored extremely high, that's sensitive data.
Mm-hmm.
I can't reach out to you and say you're not allowed on our job because you've scored high.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be the approach. The approach should be to inform you that you've scored high, and you may need to go and approach, support through EAP or through your GP. And that should be the goal. But at least then we're getting data on an annual basis on what our workforce is looking like.
Yeah.
And we can respond to that. So if we say, 10% of our workforce is scoring above normal, and how we're going to rectify that, and then we start implementing change.
Yeah.
And that's what the research shows. Change works. Change brings those scores down.
And I can see it from a point of view, just from our dealings on site with it. And you say that someone might flag up all red flags, and you've got to be careful with that data and that. But at the same time, I think it also being in your position, you know, through all this as well, if you've got some respect with your workforce
Yes.
and understanding, that person will probably say to you, tell you what, you know what we do over it, I need a bit of help. And I think you've got that. When you're genuinely saying, you're not just giving it to them, you're not treating it as a one-off toolbox once a year or whatever. If you're actually saying we're interested in this, us as a company need to improve the score, please give us your answers, honestly.
Yeah.
I think as big and macho and scary this industry people on the ground are, and we've seen it, they do give a shit then. Yeah. If someone knows someone gives a shit, then they will be honest.
Absolutely.
Because they know it's more support than what's happened in the past. And you only have to tell them, because I think you can pretty much now, unfortunately, speak to any construction worker and they'll know of someone who's lost their job from stress, suicide, or even workplace fatality. And when they get across that this isn't being done by seniorities who just want to tick a box, it's being done by people who genuinely give a shit. And
want to see a difference made.
And and obviously, thankfully for your research now, you've got the clout to say that. But people know that we ain't doing this just to cover our arse. This is, and I honestly think, and that is where I think you'll get a lot of the industry, like you say, will be like, oh, we don't open too much. And I've had this with a couple of companies, and they've been like, oh, we'll open a can of worms. And I'm like, no, that can is well open already. Really, the only thing you can do now is improve it. It really is. But I
think that's the key, and that's the message to get across. So if we look at implementing such a procedure where the onboarding process, you do a DAS21 analysis. It's just reminding of the person completing that, the data is completely anonymous. Completely anonymous. So please complete it correctly. It's helping us improve facilities, improve leadership, improve welfare in order to ensure that these levels are an appropriate level. But if you're scoring high, please reach out. And that's what I'm working with MSite at the moment. So we use MSite in a lot of our jobs for access control, working with them and trying to sort of, work this DAS21 into the onboarding process. Now there's challenges, as I said, around, the data and what should be available and what shouldn't. What can come back to us to kind of analyse and what we're allowed to see and what we're not allowed to see. But for me, the focus needs to be, if someone scores above normal, it flashes straight up on the screen saying, please contact your GP, be mindful that your stress, anxiety and depression could be a concern, speak to someone if you're feeling that it is an issue.
Do they say how often you should do the DAS, or any recommendations to how often?
So we've been using it for a long time through our mental health champions, our mental health first aiders. So we use it as a tool where if we identify someone that we feel that is a concern, we suggest it to them to go away and complete it. We have a paper-based form that we can give it to them. We don't want it back. Now, we pulled the data in for the research when I was doing the thesis. We needed it then. But now it's just go away and complete it. And if you score normal, and it says it clearly in the form, if you score normal, absolutely fine. But if you're a little bit high, please consider trying to de-stress through all the mechanisms we discussed. Or if your levels of depression is at a level that is concerning, reach out for help.
Have you looked at the results in terms of cross projects as well?
Yes.
And you can see trends.
So you can see trends,
quickly.
and I have to say we've done digital form and we've done paper-based form. That was a challenge as well through the research, because there's still that big brother kind of idea that if I'm completing it through my online work email, that they can link it back to me, and that worry. Like, when people go for a new job, they fill out the form, are you suffering from any mental well-being issues? Everyone's taking no. No one's telling their new employer that they've got depression, anxiety, or stress. But we need to shift the culture there where it's perfectly acceptable to inform them of that. Rather than lying about it in a form.
It makes my head's ticking now as well. The projects we go to and visit to, in us choreographing in a way and supporting the right information you've got, and how we can support what you've got there back with the DAS thing, actually, in terms of getting out there and just speaking to guys and just doing it across projects. So we've done it before, actually, when we done one years ago, and we had that was the rating at 1 to 7, I think it was. So there was no halfway point. I know it was 1 to 8, so you never, so if you could be halfway, it would be 4 and 5 or whatever it was. So you couldn't just be right in the middle. And we had a number chart to go around saying, give a number of how you feel today or whatever. And it was only like a rough, very amateur kind of put together. We did it online just to score. We got the people just to press it. But you over 4 projects, that was actually HS2 at Euston. This was before COVID. And it was just done kind of roughly, not knowing much about science or research, but we saw it after as well. We saw the trends in the just within 4. Not a lot of responses. We maybe spoke to 40, 50 people over the course of a week or something like that, and we've got to do it. But you could see this project, that one over there, was under a lot of pressure. And when I went back to the office and spoke to seniors, them guys over there have lost. Yeah. I know they're understaffed. Or there was a couple of trends in it, and they said what they said to what the data showed proved it, and it was like
But that's exactly where we need to get to. You've responded to data. And I think we spoke before. I used the example of you use the bathrooms in the airport, and you come out and you see the smiley faces.
Yes.
And you hit green if the welfare facilities were good, or red if you felt they were bad. If you had just something as simple as that in an office environment, or the site office. And then just completely anonymous, as guys walk past it on a daily basis, they just hit how they're feeling.
Yeah.
Data at the end of the week.
Yeah.
You can zone in and say Wednesday at 12 o'clock, there seems to be a spike of guys hitting the red button.
Yeah.
Why is that? And then you start looking to see what meetings are on. It could be, contract review meeting, or it could be a financial review meeting, or something like that. And then you can start responding to the data. As we said earlier, bring in some donuts at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday because that's the spike. I'm not saying that's the answer, and I'm not encouraging sugary-based foods to try and rectify the mental well-being issue. But it shows that at least you're responding to data rather than just people licking their finger, sticking it in the air, and coming up with an idea with no basis to say that this is going to improve mental well-being.
Yeah, and it does, because at the same time, if you go, there'll be one of these jobs just freaking hates the job, like they're all going to just chuck the red on it all the time.
Yeah.
It's a pull your finger out to the senior staff, the middle management on that project to go, what the fuck do we need to do to get everyone to be happy? Absolutely. And they will go above and beyond because they know they're being monitored. Again, and it's an easy way for the chain. And that's technically, I suppose, that's how the likes of considerate construction scheme works, all that kind of stuff, isn't it? Come in and just base it on that. But yeah, we had something, again, like I said, this number chart, and we did it with it. It was a little bit faces. I'm going to go to the computer place that done it this afternoon, and I'm going to get the login for it, and I'll send it over to you. Because I know I spoke about it recently, but I think they've still got the details for that platform. I might be able to find the information. It might have been worth the investment. I don't know, years ago. Haven't touched it yet.
There needs to be thinking behind it, depending on the size of your projects as well and size of your teams. That's something I would have had to go through with all the ethical approvals for my research through Middlesex University. So if you've got a site with 5 guys on it, you can't implement it there because you can probably figure out after the first, data analysis of who's who. But if you've got a site with 500, well, then it works. And then similarly, if you're asking a question like, are you male or female? And you've got a site with 1 female on it, well, then you can zone straight in on who that person is. So you're probably best to, omit that question from the data. And then it doesn't allow you with that sensitive information.
No, fair play. No, it's interesting, isn't it? You the idea now is to implement this into the workplace. We want to get it. You're open to this information now being shared across.
Absolutely. So looking to work with Tiernan and try and get some videos out there explaining, the high level, what the research has found, what the data has found. To show the industry we have the data now. Let's use it. Let's respond with it. We've got suggested tools. We've got suggested intervention measures. How those interventions work. And then we have a way of recording it now. We have a way of responding to the data.
I know, as you know, I've been in this leadership circle that will be reversed out of it now. But to them guys, that they're looking for ways. They're looking to pump money into this research study, and I get it. I think they're looking at certain with Warwickshire University, funny enough, actually looking at fatalities, the suicides over the previous years. In how the conditions behind those suicides taking place. It'll be interesting. But I know, and obviously shared this with them, when I said to them that the guys need to speak to you. And we'll be at the Get Construction Talking's Mental Health Summit on Tuesday. Are you about on Tuesday?
I'm there.
You coming? Yes, spot on. Yeah. I'll be referencing you. I might drag you up on the stage.
No
but no, I will 100% reference it there because Mark Reynolds is there, the head of the Leadership Council. They need to know that. They need to know.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. More research, better. We need to continuously promote more research. Warwick University, any university that wants to adopt it, absolutely. And my thesis, as per most good research papers, at the end will reference what more can be done, what were the negatives of my research, what can be improved by my research. But what I would suggest is we don't need to run before we can walk. We're in a position where we just need to get the basics right, the basic fundamentals right before making change. And then we'll need further, more in-depth research to make proper change in the future. But we just need to make some fundamentals first. And I think, I think this research shows that. There's some standard, simple tools we can adopt straight away to start making improvements.
And it needs to be done. It needs to be done. That's going to be interesting on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be, I know we've got a panel talk at the start of it. Me, Katie Kelleher, crane operator, works for CPA. She's golden, as well as Brett Smith, who's the American guy who I took over to the church over the road. He come on the podcast. He's flying back over. Okay. And then Fred Mills should be putting the world to rights. We're talking from very much a on the tools experienced side of it and what we see on the ground. And then I think after that one, there's a more senior people than me and people more in the know. I think they like to pass than that about what they think from their corporate sides. But yeah, I think there's definitely going to be a lot of opportunity to throw some stuff at the wall, really, and then literally say to people, right. And I the one thing I actually really want from Tuesday is, I think it needs, it's 100% right, it needs to be an uncomfortable day for people, you know what I mean? To realise this isn't just a come and watch a couple of panel talks. Like if you're here, we're all responsible for this. Everyone can play a part in it. Yeah. And the fact of it is, I've been on hundreds of these panels, and none of them have turned to win. I think, something. I think at times, and I've done it myself over the years with the research, is you look at these statistics and you just forget that there's people behind these numbers. Yeah, it's a father, it's a son, it's a brother, and we forget that. We just see 1,400 between 2011 and 2015, and we say, wow, that's a big figure, but that's 1,400 people. Yeah. And we forget that at times. I think we do. We were at an event once with a leader of an organisation. I won't say that. I won't do it to them. They don't like me anyway. But I won't throw them the bus anymore. But even they said, it doesn't matter what the figures are. The figures are just figures. And it was just, and in the room, someone went, "You can't say that." It was just like, well, they just because like it's one of those. What's the wording for it when you just look at something so much that the feeding goes from it. You look at something so much that you realise there's actually a personal edge to it. Yes. But like these are people, these are guys and girls and fathers, sons, daughters, whatever you want to say. These people are, and God forbid it comes too close to anyone. And I like statistics. Statistics kind of wake you up at times, but it's just kind of trying to relate that back to the personal edge. Like, I heard a couple of statistics recently of, someone attempts suicide in the UK every 3 minutes, and that blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. And you think of what the NHS is going through if every 3 minutes someone is attempted suicide. Massively, it's scary when we think about it. And society in a whole today, and there's just so much pressure on everyone. Like, I know this is bad. I even popped into. I was on the road just then. I grabbed the croissant. Shall we say, Alex? I won't reference you, but it's half French. I got a croissant and a large coffee, and it was 13 quid. Oh, croissant with ham and cheese in, and it was 13 quid. And just like, then the word I'm going with that is the pressure of just life, just getting a coffee and starting to eat at a service garage on a motorway, how much it's costing to do anything. Yeah, I read somewhere recently, being an adult is stepping outside the door and spending £50 every day on nothing. 100%. And then the way back, I do like a little chocolate frappuccino when I'm driving home, a little treat in the afternoon. Nice. And I don't even notice that now. I was like, they want fucking big money for it. So I even got a small one yesterday. I think it was still 4 or 5 quid. And I just thought, fuck. I thought a good example was, remember Pulp Fiction, the film? They started talking about the $5 milkshake. Oh yeah, that was like a huge thing in that film. Now like $5 milkshake, but now every milkshake is $5. Yeah, you can't. Let alone if you have cream. Jesus, have you? So you always got to choose Karl. You use Karl a bit Ardmore, it? Karl's golden, isn't it? So me and Karl know each other for years back at Murphy's. So evil culture. Done a lot together at Murphy's. Really good guy. Really. Like he's down to earth and he resonates with the workforce. Yeah, he really does. Yeah. But we got him in with Ardmore, help with our cultural change program. We call it the Ardmore ABC program. Just kind of bring it back to basics. And it just kind of looks at just, the decision making, the risk perception of the individuals on site, not just, burying them under paperwork and process. And linking, as I said earlier, that, process back to the person needs to complete it correctly and why they need to complete it correctly. Yeah. It's there for a reason. He delivers it on no one else out there, isn't he? Oh, he's delivering. He's really, really good. Yeah, he's talented in that way, isn't it? So some of our, supply chain now have adopted him as well. They've seen the importance of it. Yeah. They see the importance of it to Ardmore. So they kind of say, look, if we want to continue work with Ardmore, what we need to do, we need to improve our perception of risk, at the coalface, and that is the coalface that we need to kind of, zone in on. But
he can deliver it well.
We're trying to get him back down actually for a podcast. Him and Dave Lowe from Podtrack to come on down, but to talk about the cycle. But he's just got himself out of VKFB a bit now as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Carl? So he's a man in high demand.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I remembered I knew him years back when he got in touch through LinkedIn. We got talking. I was like, I know, and then I realised it was at Deepham's because I was there with Murphy's and Kia and Acom. And I remember being on the course at Shin, being like, this one was actually quite interesting, and the way it's just been delivered.
Yeah.
And I've always been sceptical about the in classroom kind of based stuff, but the way he puts it across, and is unique and highly recommended. And then Tiernan as well, Super Beam.
Yeah.
They're doing unbelievable.
He helps us out every year. Every year we do a safe start, like most contractors every year, where we kind of do that reset after Christmas.
Yeah.
Remind the guys we're back into a high risk environment again, and we're utilising video footage of kind of an accident that could happen.
Yeah.
All fictional stuff, but Tiernan's fantastic at putting that together.
He's a storyteller, isn't it? Yeah, the way he can.
The story. We put it together. It's no more than 4 or 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
And you can hear a pin drop in the room. You can have 200-300 operatives.
Oh.
Every single person goes through it. I think Karl assisted with it actually last year to kind of bring that ABC cultural side of things into it.
Yeah.
I think we went through 4,500 operatives in Ardmore in last January.
Yeah.
And every time we press play on that video, you could hear a pin drop. It just kind of reminds them of, we're not sat around eating celebrations for the Christmas tree anymore. We're back in a high risk environment. It's cold, it's wet, and we need to have our wits about us. And this is what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And then the procedures, the processes, the safe starts, they're all there to kind of have that rethink, have that reset before we get back to work. Yeah. And just remind them. Really, really powerful. Really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I did catch up. I was doing for a couple of years now, actually. I think we were saying the other day it might be jiu-jitsu we've done together. He single-handedly got my little boy into jiu-jitsu. He didn't realise it.
I wouldn't want to get in a ring with him now.
No. Because when we first got talking, he had normal ears.
Yeah.
And then, we got talking. He introduced me to jiu-jitsu. I've done a little bit, but I still don't know anything about it, really. But from what he sold to me, I got my little boy into jiu-jitsu, and now he's been, since the last 2 years, he's been every single, he goes most weeks, 3 or 4 times a year, a month he goes, sort of thing. So, he's played part of me. Sat around St. Paul's outside, what's it called? The pub, what's it called? It'll come back to me.
His mother's pub, isn't it?
Yeah, right there by St. Paul's, the Rising Sun.
The Rising Sun.
We've gone there, we've gone for a little chin wag and sat on a bench. Next thing you know, it's 2 hours later.
Yeah.
And it's put 25 quid in coffees.
Yeah.
But that's what he's got. He's such an interesting character, and like I say, he's a good man. But no, thanks a million for coming down. Is there anything else we have touched on? We're not. How's everything at Ardmore on that one? Is it busy times?
Yeah, we've got a lot on. Now the industry is a challenging time. With the new changes of the Building Safety Act. We're trying to weather that. As much as we can lately. But I suppose that there's a lot of contractors in the same boat.
Is that all a big post Grenfell thing?
Post Grenfell, the changes there, the changes in the legacy requirements, etc. But we're doing well. The clients seem happy. We've got some fantastic jobs still in the ground. Hopefully getting some more coming down the line. But some big jobs like Tribeca there in King's Cross, West Cromwell Road in West London there, which is a very complex one. Building on top of a live Tesco.
Where was the one I went to? That was what was it?
That was the Whiteley's.
That was a smart building, wasn't it? Yeah.
Just the finishing is just amazing.
Yeah, it was a little bit of click on the history of that, of the building and stuff, wasn't it? Just the big lion's heads at the top corner. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but you just see the workmanship for finishing in those buildings is crazy.
Yeah.
It's just.
They took me to the big, because we went into the big penthouse at the top of it. Yeah. My offer didn't get accepted, so that one didn't go through with that one.
Yeah, I think that was my offer.
It was huge, man. Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, this is it's opened my side up. It's probably yourself in a way, but we've gone from Murphy's. When you're back in the infrastructure world, and then you forget what's going on behind this holding in London. Unbelievable buildings. Yeah. And you look at a building, you don't realise it's a building site, and then you go inside, it might just be the face of a building anyway.
I think a lot of the infrastructure work gets kind of high profile, but a lot of the construction work doesn't. I've moved into the construction side with Murphy's, with the construction division there, and then I was there for a couple of years, and then before I came over to Ardmore. But some of the architectural stuff, some of the facade retention and stuff, maintaining the listed structures is just phenomenal.
Yeah, really levels of engineering.
And that's what Ardmore are very, very good at, that cut and carve, maintaining that grade A listed buildings.
Yeah,
while turning it into a premium prime location for for big books to come in and
has that gateway, all that gateway shebang played?
Yeah, so we have a couple of jobs there that, you know, it was a lot of work, you know, in-house to kind of make sure that we had the procedures and the process in place. We've all that done, which is fantastic. So we've got a couple of jobs that kind of going through kind of trials of the gateway, although they don't meet the requirements of the job themselves. If the client have requested, let's see if we can do it for the job down the line. So it's all going quite well. A lot of the stuff we had there, but it was just kind of making sure it's more robust, more granular, that we can go back and pull that information and show it whenever we need to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm a big fan. I need to get back into London. We're going out there next Tuesday is the day, but then the day before, actually, I'm going to meet that Brett for a coffee in the morning, so I'll be out there on Monday morning, the 29th. Have a little look around the see it all. But it's good. I like it. Especially on LinkedIn, you just take a selfie and when they build, put it online, and you realise 20 people are on LinkedIn and go, well, you know, you meet for a coffee. Yeah. So, now get amongst it. I hugely appreciate you coming, driving over, being part of it, giving us your time and showing us through your knowledge and expertise. Is this available? Can people... Are we able to, is it shared online? Is it something you can get?
I haven't shared it online. As I said, a good couple of amendments to make with Middlesex, and then I'll be looking to get it out there. Then try and get some of like the main headlines of the research through, you know, maybe through some videos for Tiernan. I'm actually chairing the Construction Leadership Forum
Brilliant.
Next month.
Yeah.
So try and use that. I'm keynote speaker as well as chairing it. So I'll try and get some message across to, you know, the tier 1s, the tier 2s that will be in attendance, get them aware of the data, get them aware of the mechanisms, get them aware of the tools, that the data's there now, and let's start responding to it.
Yep, brilliant. Now, let's say any help you want with it, pushing it out, and we're more than happy sharing attachments or any downloads for people or feature it. Obviously, the podcast will come out, and you'll probably might end up you get those little amendments come back by the time this podcast goes out. So if it does, we can put it in the comments, 100%. And people can download it. We can stick on websites to download whatever you want us to do with it, pal. We want to shout it from the roof because we knows it.
Absolutely,
we know it backs up sport and construction, and construction sport in general. So no, it is. I say, for me, it's been like music to my ears because I was like, I ain't just a crazy bloke thinking this is a good idea. There's a science to this that I've not been able to show, but you've done it for me.
But that was one of the main reasons why I looked at it. You know, and focused on it. You know, when you're dealing with safety every day, when, you know, 37, 38 people annually died through work-related incidents. Yeah. But then we've got this big number, which is 4 or 5 times higher. You know, you're 10 times more likely to die of suicide in this industry. So it's the most dangerous industry to go into. Not due to, you know, falling off of a ladder, because if you go into that industry, you could end up committing suicide. And
with it, we've then got a government who literally getting in the political government, but we're then saying let's build as many houses as we can.
As quick and as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So which is adding to it.
This is
really adding to it.
The logic of the powers that be when we'll be in a room with certain people next Tuesday and I'll be able to voice a few of my concerns of it. Let's build. Let's bring as many people into the industry as we quickly can.
But I think the message back to, you know, the government is, you know, this is an issue we have in the industry and we need assistance with that. Yeah. And we're all ears.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not an issue for individual businesses. It's the issue for the industry as a collective. And we need to come together to identify the root cause and start reducing the risk.
Yeah.
You know, my theory is even if we eliminate all the stigma, all the contributing factors, the time pressure, etc., the problem will still exist, because if the mind is capable of being pushed or can be pushed to the point of self-destruction, we most likely will find other reasons to do so. It's only when we educate the mind, we provide the resources to open up stigma-free, that's when we'll see a decline in the industry. That's when we'll see improvements. And that's the goal. Not just safer sites, but longer, healthier lives for the people that work on them.
And when we really see that slight change, then that's the buttons go, right, push now. And it really, like, we've done something, we've hit something right, and we now full bore, let's everybody get behind this and push it. And
let's be clear, we talk about, you know, outside mental well-being, we talk about the labour shortage.
Yeah.
So we can't afford to allow the industry to literally self-destruct.
Yeah.
That's
I think
what's
the women in
happening.
construction movement mentioned it the other week. I heard a few people said leaky pipeline or leaky, what do they say? Just literally X amount of women ever come into construction, but they've realised they've lost just as many going out or something along those lines. But you say that in terms of mental health and stuff, and we need how many workers need to bring in, but then and a sec, if we're losing 10 times the amount of them, 3, 4, 5, 600, whatever it is, whatever the figure works out, that's a lot of people, isn't it? That's a lot of building sites that just won't option. And this is why the Lost Cities one, with representing that as a city the same size as Cardiff being built over 10 years. Wow. Is what's been lost. And interesting perspective. But absolute pleasure. Put there, pal.
Brilliant.
I really thank you for all your time. Thanks for coming down.
Enjoyed it. Good.
Let's be having you.